Shit, y'all need to understand something about state troopers, man. They're on a whole nother level. You know, they ain't got no sense of humor. They ain't got no, I give you a break kind of thing. Maybe if you're a woman or whatnot. But, I was going down to Indianapolis and I was on my way back on some personal business. And guy pulls me over and he says, what were you doing? I already know this guy was going to ask me for why I was speeding, but he didn't say, oh, what were you doing? I says, well, I was looking for your mother's house. And he's like, what do you mean you were looking for my mother's house? I was like, yeah, I heard she's got a great ass. And I want my head all the way up it. Yeah! And then he's like, you're funny, aren't you? I says, well, not really. I says, I've been looking for her house all day. Why do you think I'm in Indianapolis? And he's like, what's your issue, man? I says, what's my issue? I'm like, I'm talking to you. I ain't talking to your mother. I'm trying to get busy here, And he's just sitting there like, ain't you got nothing better to do? And I says, no, I don't. No, again, that's why I'm in Indianapolis. I'm trying to stick my head up your mother's ass. I don't understand what you don't get, I said, you going to give me a ticket or what? He's like, well, what are you going to do with the ticket? I says, use it as target practice. And he says, what do you mean use it as target practice? I was like, all right, you got me. I'm a school teacher. And I was going to tape it in the back of your mother's head. And then I was going to correct your grammar mistakes. I'm like, but I got to remember, you're like in your 20s. Your reports are probably AI generated. So your captain probably gives you a good old pat on the back because he's probably my age or older, I told him, like, my kid's 17 years old. And he just does these great reports for history and, science and all that. Does these great reports. Spends $5 on an AI-generated report and he gets an A+. I'm like, yeah, that's great. Cool. And I was just curious if the police did the same thing. That's all. And he's like, oh, you think that's funny? I says, I want to know. I want to know before I stick my head up your mother's ass. And he says, oh, there you go with that shit with my mom again. I says, well, no disrespect intended, but, you're kind of wasting my time here. You're going to give me a ticket or what? He's like, it's an offense to mess with a ticket. I said, well, don't make any grammar mistakes. But I'm like, you know what? If you're using that AI-generated stuff that my kid does for your police report, I'm like, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I'm like, it's gonna correct all the grammar for you. I'm like, you big boy, you big time. Yes.